Episode number 884. I can't refer you.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
I am in Charlotte this week at BNI Global Headquarters. It's always great to see headquarters. It has really grown in the last 6 months or year, so fun to be here.
Oh, great. And so what is this podcast about?
Well, it's based on an email that I received from a dentist in India, and I'm going to read his email
Okay.
to you, and then I'm going to tell you a story. He said, it's great connecting with you. I'm a dentist. I joined BNI for exposure and visibility. I do get noticed by our BNI members a lot. I've got many really good 30-second presentations. He's in a large chapter, so they do 30-second weekly presentations. But he says, but still as a dentist, I can't compete with the other members in the race for referrals. Like he says, whatever I do to generate referrals, I'm not getting anything compared to other members. And so he's asking for help. He says, I'm lagging somewhere. I want to learn. What can I do? So there's a couple things. First of all, it's really important to remember that you can't compare all professions. We oftentimes talk about the average number of referrals in a chapter, the average amount of thank you for closed business in a chapter. An average is a valuable number to understand, but also remember that if your head is in the oven and your feet are in the freezer, on average, you should be okay. And you're not. So there's a range, and the professions really differ. And certainly some professions, a referral's worth a lot more. A referral for a dentist could be worth a lot more than, say, a referral to a florist. So do remember that the number of referrals alone is not the factor. The value of the referrals is an important factor. Now, that aside, let's talk about the dentist issue, because when people are going to see a dentist and they're okay with their dentist, they don't even have to be totally crazy about their dentist, but if they're okay, they're hesitant to leave their dentist.
Mm-hmm.
So years ago, in one of the first 4 or 5 chapters of BNI, we had a dentist who joined, and he'd been a member. He was a member for 20, 25 years before he retired. And I remember talking to him, and he said, there are people who've come up to me in the chapter and they said, well, I'm seeing a dentist and, I've seen him a long time and I'm not sure I can switch over. It's not that easy for me to switch over. And he asked me, what do I do? And I said, well, I can understand that. And so what you want to do is just tell the chapter, I know some of you already have a dentist. I get it. But at some point, you may have an opportunity to refer me to someone else, or you may be in a situation where your dentist isn't available. And I promise you, I will bring you in ASAP if your dentist isn't available for some problem. And I said, just keep saying that. And sure enough, within 6 months, there was a BNI member who had a filling that fell out, called his dentist. His dentist was on vacation. They were going to refer him to another dentist at the office. And he said, well, let me call you back. And he thought, why should I go see another dentist when I have this dentist in my chapter? And this is exactly what he'd been talking about. If I can't see my dentist, just call him. So he said, I called him. I spoke to this member. And he said, I called him. And boom, dentist got me in that day. He found a spot, brought me in. He said, I have never had the kind of welcome in a dentist's office that I had there. He showed me around his offices. He introduced me to his staff. He clearly wanted me to understand the kind of operation that he ran, and that if I were to refer people, kind of care that he would give them. And this is the great thing. He said, I liked my dentist, but our member dentist gave the closest thing to a completely painless shot I have ever had in my entire life. It was like no big deal. And he did the filling. We talked about what else might need to be done down the road. And he said, that day I switched dentists and I went to the BNI dentist from then on. He said, I'm committed to going to the BNI dentist from now on. And I talked to the dentist about it. And he said, yeah, it was amazing how that worked. But he said, that's not the great thing. I said, well, what's the great thing? He said, at the next meeting, the member stood up and said, oh, you're all crazy if you don't go to our dentist. He said, I was really hesitant because I'd been seeing a dentist for a long time, but I had this, the filling fell out. So I figured, what the heck? I'll see, our doctor here. And I went to see him, and he said, he gives the closest thing to a painless shot I've ever had. It was truly amazing. He's a fantastic dentist. I'm telling you, go see his office. He'll walk you around. He'll show you around. Even if it's just a cleaning, go see his office, so you can become familiar with what he does. From that day on, he started getting a boatload of referrals. Members at first going in to check him out, but then other people that the members knew after that. And he ended up being a member, Priscilla, for almost 25 years. And he stuck it out until that first member referred him, or went to him actually, and then did a testimonial. This is the power of testimonials. This is why testimonials are so incredibly important.
Yeah. Well, I have a story like that.
Tell me.
I've been under chiropractic care since I was 26 years old, and I hurt my back doing construction. And my chiropractor retired, and we had another chiropractor in my group, and then she left. And I was so hesitant to try the new chiropractor in my group. But finally, I decided to do it. I was tired of driving really far away to use the other chiropractor, right? He is so talented. I was absolutely shocked. It's the same kind of thing. I had my first adjustment, and afterwards, I was like painless. It was like, what happened? So I've been just so excited to tell everybody, and he's ending up taking care of most of our chapter. So it's the same kind of thing. I was just shocked.
Testimonials came about because of chiropractors.
Really?
I think I've said this in a podcast, but I'm not sure. I remember vividly Dr. Rubin, chiropractor in the founding chapter of BNI, he came to me and he said, I'm not getting any referrals. And you got to think back, this is 1985, and chiropractors in 1985. Yeah, a lot of people didn't think they were real medical professionals. And of course they are. And my late wife was a chiropractic assistant, and I met her while she was a chiropractic assistant. So I know how valuable chiropractic is. But certainly in the mid 80s, a lot of people didn't. And he said, nobody's, even talking to me about chiropractic, which makes me think that nobody's used a chiropractor. And so I said to him, why don't you do a free initial consultation so that people can use you and see what what it's like. And so he did, and he included an X-ray, and that was back in the day where it wasn't digital. He had to have a processing center in his office where he could process the X-rays and look at them.
Right.
Yeah, he had to, and he did. He had it all right there. So, someone said, "Okay, what the heck? I'll come in, free consultation. What the heck?" He came in. He got a tour, just like the dentist did. He gave a tour of the offices, showed everything that he did, and he adjusted him. And he said, "Come on back in 2 or 3 days." Adjusted him again, and this member came in, and he said to the members, he stood up, and this was back when I first started running BNI. I was like, if you had a referral, give it, and if you didn't, pass. That was the process. If you have a referral, give it. If you don't, pass. Well, this member stood up. He said, well, I don't have a referral, but I don't want to pass, Ivan. I said, okay, what do you want to do? He said, I want to say something. I said, okay, what do you want to say? He said, well, I want to talk about Dr. Rubin. He said, I just went to see him. I want to talk about it. I said, okay. And so he just had this glowing terms about how he'd always had this lower back problem. And after just a few adjustments, his lower back didn't hurt nearly as much. And then he told the chapter, you're all crazy if you don't take him up on this offer. And I look around the room, and this is back when we all had referral slips, and all kinds of people are filling out referral slips for the chiropractor. And that's when it hit me that a testimonial can be even more powerful than a referral.
Right.
Because the testimonial could get multiple referrals.
Right.
And that's what happened with this dentist that I told the story about. And that's certainly what happened with the chiropractor that I told the story about. So for the dentist who sent me that message from email, get somebody to use you once and then have them talk about their experience. And that's a great way to get more referrals. I'm glad you shared your story, Priscilla.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I have for today.
Okay, well, thank you for the great information. I think that's a really special podcast. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioPrograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MeisnerAudioPrograms.com and then use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.